this all mean? What are the final conclusions of my experiment? What we saw in my gels was that proliferation occurred of the microbial consortia that we observed in the subsurface environment. Basically, that's a whole lot of scientific jargon for we saw the bacteria grow. We saw them change and adapt to the ozone, which is different from what we thought was going to happen when we first started this experiment. Growth occurred, proliferation occurred. And also the lack of discrete bright bands in my gels basically just means that my primers probably weren't specific enough. This was a master's level experiment, and in science, time and money are the ultimate limiting factors. So, if I had tons of money and tons of time, I'd be able to excise those bands that I got in my gel electrophoresis product, and I'd be able to send them off to a laboratory, and they would tell me exactly what the DNA sequence was within that band. And I would be able to take that and run it against one of the many databases on the internet and see exactly what I was looking at in my gel. So wrapping up here, I'd like to take a few minutes and do a little bit of a class discussion. I've got 3 different points up here. The first point, what does this mean for remediation efforts? Basically, what I'm getting at with this question is sometimes what's good for the whole, what's good in general, isn't always the best for specific situations. So I'd like you guys to think about that. Let's think about it in terms of ozone sparging. Off the top of my head, one example of ozone sparging might be, hey, I've got an invasive plant species out at the local pond, and I want to get rid of it. Because every summer, I dig the weeds up, I chop them off, and they just grow back, and every year it gets worse and worse and worse. How do I get rid of that invasive species without harming the environment, the rest of the environment? Do you want to use ozone? What do you think? Is that a good idea? If I use ozone to treat this particular problem, some possible consequences might be that now you're changing the oxygen content of the water, and what's in the water that's going to be affected by the oxygen content? Your fish, your carp, and now you're not going to have any tilapia to sell to the local fish plant. So now you're messing with your income. So that's kind of where I'm going with this discussion point. Also, what are some of the potential harmful side effects of using ozone? That kind of is a sub-question of what I just got done talking about. And finally, I'd like to go back to the BP oil spill and discuss their proposal to use chemical dispersants. What kind of effect is that going to have on the environment? If we use these chemical dispersants and it works, that's all well and good, but what happens when Mr. Blue Whale comes along? Is this endangered species going to become an extinct species? Do we know? So I'd like to talk a little bit about that and turn it over to you guys. Alright, thank you for that discussion. That was really good, guys. So, your homework, the dreaded homework. I'd like you guys to go out on the internet and do a little bit of research report. I'd like you guys to take a look at organic farms and what they do to control E. coli contamination, and compare and contrast that to industrial agriculture and what they do. So a lot of consumers don't realize exactly how much work goes into organic farming. When you go to Walmart, all you see here is your organic $4 head of lettuce and your industrial agriculture 50-cent head of lettuce. Now your organic lettuce, it's probably a little bit smaller, it's maybe not quite as green, a little wilted looking. And your industrial agriculture head of lettuce, it's big, it's bright, green, it's leafy, it smells like chlorine, you're good to go. So I want you guys to take some time and just do a small compare and contrast with that. And while you're at it, I'd also like you guys to take a look at the BP oil spill chemical dispersants and research any possible side effects, and maybe go beyond what it says at Wikipedia and apply it and think about what some possible consequences may be. Nobody's using Wikipedia in here, you know. It's just a reference. No, in all seriousness though, I'd like you guys to do that and report back to me, and we can continue this discussion next week. And for some additional reading, if you guys were interested in tonight's lecture, I've got some of my favorite articles and things like that up here that you guys can take a look at. So thank you guys for your class, and I really appreciate it.